Hello, hello. Welcome to another Monday episode of Addiction Recovery Hope, capital H, capital O, capital P, capital E, and resources. I'm Heston Cherry, and just getting this started on the thing. Got an awesome guest today, and she's being brave enough to come on here and open up herself, and I'm grateful for that. She's a dear friend of mine. She's been on before. Her name is Emily Livingston Hughes, and she's done amazing things in addiction recovery, and she's helped many. But she's here to talk about a serious, probably the most scariest things in addiction recovery, and that is relapse. And is it common? Is it what can we do if we do? Is it worth starting over, or are we starting over? Do we lose every bit of information we had? You know, she's going to answer some questions, but I want to tell her to tell where she's been in the last little bit, and then we'll pop some questions and see if we can't help someone out there figure out that there's always hope. That's our end goal, is wanting to be hope. Yeah. Emily, take it away. It's all yours. You got 29 minutes.
So do you want me to share my story before the relapse? I mean, the whole thing or some of it?
Yeah, just start to where you're at and where you've been for the last, I'd say let's go for 5 years. Go 5 years.
So before I landed in recovery, I was in and out of active addiction for about 20 years. And even when I wasn't in active addiction, actively using something, I was an addict out there just living and having chaotic life. So, but then I met some cool people that taught me about recovery, and I ended up going to 12-step meetings. I went through the LDS Addiction Recovery Program, and I'd been through a lot of other programs. Even since I was a teenager, I went through rehabs. I tried some other approaches, and nothing for me ever worked except for the 12-step addiction recovery program in the LDS Church. And so, and it didn't happen overnight. I didn't just go to a meeting and poof, I was better and I stayed sober. It took me a few times of, I like to say, failing forward before I
Took some work.
caught on. Yeah, a lot of work.
A lot of looking so deep inside yourself that it's scary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I love how, I love to think about how it was a lot harder not to. I think sometimes people are so afraid of getting into recovery and what they're going to be sacrificing. And what you find out when you get there is that's not a sacrifice at all, what you gave up compared to what you're given in return. So,
Sure.
so I went through the 12-step program and had an awesome experience, totally life-changing, and super passionate. It just changed my whole life. And basically everything that I used to try to numb myself about, the things that I was missing out on, the dreams that I had in my heart that I wasn't achieving, or I knew I would never receive or never have in my life, those things became my life and more as I was in recovery.
Yeah.
Blessings just poured down upon me. And so very, very cool. And so that was, I think, almost 4 years. That was happening. That was my life.
The first year you had many setbacks.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Oh yeah. I didn't want to hand the reins over. I wanted to be in charge of everything. I wanted to have all the answers.
Part of being in addiction is having this chaotic drama in your life, and it's hard to let it go.
Yeah.
And so you almost actually, I always say, put a wrench in between the spokes of the bike, and it's almost on purpose a lot of times.
Yeah, and then you cry when it happens. You put the wrench in, and then you cry about it.
Yeah.
My life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't want to let go of the reins for a long time. I didn't want to hand all of it over. I would just hand some of it, and then cry when things weren't going well. But eventually, I did. Eventually, I remember just at some point just getting to a place where I literally was willing to do anything and everything it took to get there, wherever there was. And for me, the there I was looking to was the light that I was seeing in other people who were in recovery. I was looking
Yeah.
to those people, and I wanted what they had.
You know what I admired about you, and it was hard. I know it was hard for you, a lot of things, but you're at the end, you're finally ready to listen and say, okay, you're saying I need to get rid of certain relationships.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
Even as hard as it was.
Yeah, it was hard.
It paid off.
It paid off huge. Yeah. There's a picture that this reminds me of, and it's a picture of the Savior. Am I allowed to say that on his?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and I know a lot of people have seen this picture, and if you haven't, go look it up. So the Savior is holding this huge teddy bear behind his back, and then there's a little girl, and she's holding a little teddy bear, and she's like, oh, you know, he's saying, just trust me, and she's holding on to it, and she's like, but I love it, you know, and that's what I felt like.
If she would just give up a little bit, he was going to give her a lot more.
Yeah, and it's true, and I remember knowing that that was what was going to happen, but I just couldn't. For so long, I was not willing to just let it go and say, okay, here. But it was true when I did that, he handed, you know, and over that and more. That was exactly what happened. So yeah, that was my life in recovery. It was awesome. And then life happened. I got married and I had a baby.
Good guy.
Amazing. Yeah.
Shout out to Joe.
Shout out to Joe. Hi, Joe.
We love Joe. We love that he let you come on.
Yeah.
He supports you.
I said,
even though you're a bonehead.
I said, you're not going to be embarrassed, are you? He's all, nope.
You are.
He says, nope, you are. So, and I thought, wow, yeah.
Not much embarrasses you. You're pretty open, and I love that about you.
You know what? It was really weird. I feel, and everybody has a persona or whatever that they present, especially on social media, and and I have it too. Even though I've shared the hard stuff, obviously I've shared about being an addict and recovery, and that was something that even I had to decide to be open about because of judgments or what people might think, or you know. And when I was considering doing this, when I was considering sharing about relapse, I went through that same thing, and it was like, but this is a lot bigger, you know.
This is you coming on and opening up to the world that, you know, even after years of sobriety, it can happen.
It can. Yeah, and it happened to me. I let it happen to me. And I felt like, I mean, there's so many people out there sharing online about people are so sick of, oh, everyone's just sharing the good pictures and the pretty stuff, and everybody wants everyone to be open, but I definitely want to be that. You know, I know that this is part of recovery, and
the funny thing is that you know that every one of us, or everyone in the world, is actually a broken mess. And no one has a perfect life that they put out there, and you're willing to open up, and by you doing that, it opens doors to actually help people. And if we'd all do that, we could actually we'd break some barriers down.
Yeah, I feel like it's important, and I feel like because I've used social media as a platform to share about addiction and recovery, I feel like it's important for me to have the voice also with this, and
with the bads too.
Yeah, because it's real life.
It's real,
and we're human, and I'm human.
Yeah.
And so I'll just share.
Yeah, what happened?
So what happened for me, and something that I realized. And I've learned it before. I've been through a lot of recovery stuff, and I've learned relapse happens long before the relapse ever happens.
Good point.
And it's true.
What do they say? Emotional behaviors and then the relapse. So you relapse in a certain few different ways, and then the actual of using the substance.
Yeah, and I think that it's part of it, because you're not just going to go. I wasn't going to go straight from where I was in my recovery straight to where I ended up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a process, a breakdown, so to speak, that occurs that takes you there.
Yeah.
And so for me, and there's so many lessons in the whole thing. As I look back, there's so many lessons. So I got married. I had a baby. We had this blended family. All these life happenings were going on, and in that, I stopped going to meetings. I was going here and there, you know, just but I
being a mom.
Yeah.
Giving 100% to your kids.
Yeah, and those things are important. However, without actively pursuing recovery, those things are always going to sometime come in last.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, you know. And so I stopped going to meetings. It wasn't that I didn't care about my recovery. It's just these other things were there, and I wasn't making it a priority. And so that was the first. I think that was the first thing that led to all of this. I know if I had been actively going to meetings, the other steps wouldn't have taken place.
Right.
So what happened for me is, so I stopped going to meetings and still love recovery, still in my heart, whatnot. But
still helping people too.
Yeah, but when you're going to meetings, you're in that, you have that spirit with you, I feel like, all the time.
There's a difference between helping others and helping yourself in your recovery, though.
Yeah, big difference.
Wifey showed up finally. She made it. We're so happy for her.
Yay.
She had scary breast exams today, but she's clear, and we're so happy.
Aww.
Congrats, babe.
She's thankful you told everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. So so what happened for me is my kids were getting diagnosed with ADD and ADHD, and in that process, I recognized myself in them. I thought, wow, that's me. Like, I'm like that.
Yeah, you're probably listening to the doctors. Wait a second. That's what I feel like. That's what I think. That's how I am.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
so am I.
Yeah. And
You're not.
It's crazy because my addiction has nothing to do with my drug of choice or whatever, has nothing to do with that kind of stuff. So I had no experience whatsoever with ADHD meds. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I walked myself into a bad situation.
Right.
Because I'm an addict.
So your kids are going through this, and all of a sudden you say,
Yes.
"Wait, doc."
Yeah, wait. That's me. I have those symptoms. My son Carson, I'm just like him.
You got something that'll heal me?
Well, yeah. So they did the test on me. Lo and behold, they say you got ADHD. They put me on some medicine, and I took the medicine. And the first day, it was immediately this huge trigger. It was like,
which, unbeknownst to you, is your drug of choice.
Yes.
Legally.
Yes, and it was crazy because I took it that first day, and I hated it. It wasn't a good experience. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't like when I was using before, and I was having this exciting time that I thought I was having. It was like I was, I don't know. It was
dirty.
Yeah, I felt dirty. It brought up all the shame, all these triggers, the shame and dirty, and so I took it for a few days, and it was like instantly couldn't sleep. All these things are happening, and so I actually at that time reached out to my dad, took the medicine to my dad, crying, "Dad, I can't take this. This is dangerous." It was really triggering me. So, and then basically took about a week off and told myself, well, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to just lower the dose, and I'm going to try again. And basically, I'm going to try to beat whatever I was going through before, because I forgot what it's like in addiction. You become powerless, and I thought I was going to be okay. So convinced my dad. He gave me the pills back, and took them, got a refill, and then by that time, I knew I shouldn't be taking them anymore. But decided, well, I'm just gonna keep taking these till they're gone. I basically at that point thought I'm gonna take them as fast as I can because I want these gone faster.
It says take one every 4 hours. I'm gonna take 5.
Yeah, and I want these gone faster. The faster they're gone, the better it's gonna be. I can just move on, right? So. And obviously at this stage, I know these are not good. This is not a good choice. So I start doing that. And by this time, I'm like, well, I'm just going to take them all day and all night. That makes sense. So.
Addict brain at work.
Yeah, I'm just going to have some alone time. I'm going to get some things done. It's going to be great. Well, not great. So I'm doing this. And then within literally probably 2 or 3 days, I'm totally triggered to the point where I end up relapsing. I contact somebody, it's in my hands. Before I know it, I've relapsed on my drug of choice. And it was completely awful. It was scary. It was awful. It was like if you are to step into, I don't know, it was just weird. It was like this person that I used to be that I forgot what it was really like. In my mind, I have these memories, but when I stepped into it, it was just terror. It was just terror and shame. And so it went on for a couple of days, and then I actually reached out to my sister early in the middle of the night. I wrote, almost in the morning, I wrote her an email. I didn't want to write her a message and ding her phone or wake her up, so I wrote her an email and told her what was going on. I told her everything, how it had happened, everything, what was going on. And I flushed everything down the toilet, And I think I'd flushed everything down the toilet before that, and then wrote her the email and sent it. And then she wrote back and she said, "You need to call Heston."
Because she knows you always call me.
Yep. And I was like, "No, I can't tell Heston." And I was like, "Okay." So it took about 2 seconds, and then I emailed you the email.
Yeah. After she had already messaged me, and I told her I'm not reaching out to her. It's her responsibility to reach out to me. And within 5 minutes, you had reached out to me.
Yeah. So I reached out to you, and you gave me some great sound advice.
That you struggled with?
Yeah. Well,
didn't want to follow?
No, because I was so humiliating.
Scary.
It was scary. Yeah. Humiliating, scary. And I mean, it's one thing to admit to yourself and to have that knowledge that you've made this huge mistake that you promised everyone, and including yourself, that you wouldn't make, but to admit it to other people.
Loved ones.
Horrible. Yeah. It was terrible. But yeah, I ended up telling everybody.
Yeah.
Basically.
And you are here.
Yeah. So I reached out to my bishop, and he was just so amazing. Everybody was amazing. And my parents, I talked to my parents, and I talked to Joe.
Yeah.
Shared with Joe, and that was the
and
hardest one.
You were really scared.
Yeah.
That could have ended up real bad. Rightfully so.
Yeah, that was really scary. That was the hardest one, was Joe.
That's what I'm most proud of about you, is you didn't stay down for too long. You didn't let it fall back into your disease, that where you lost your family, lost your jobs, lost everything. You caught it, you opened up, and you went through the process of healing and opening up and making amends. You went through the whole process of the 12 steps in a brief period of time, but you knew what you had to do, and you were willing to do it. And so, that's to be admired, Emily, because you know as well as I do. I mean, I've seen people 20 years clean die because they started using again, and they couldn't let go of that pride to open up. People 5 years, 10 years, we're at war every day. We've got to be careful of what our decisions are, our choices are, and it is a choice at this point when we're this clean and this long. But we've got to be aware. We've got to be working an honest program, and now you know what not to do. Right?
Yeah.
That's the best thing, is you didn't lose any of your knowledge.
Yeah.
And you know where you're at now.
Yeah.
What would be some advice that you'd give people? Because you can't blame the doctor.
Oh, no, I'm not. No way. And I actually went to the doctor.
Look, I know first instinct is I blamed my doctor for giving me too many pain pills. I did. But problem is I manipulated the doctor.
No, I only blame myself. And really, I understand about myself. I walked into that very innocently.
Yeah.
However, I know now. See, I didn't never tell that doctor that I was an addict in recovery.
And that's the first thing I do to every doctor.
Yeah,
I'm a drug addict, doc.
I didn't tell him because I thought, in my mind, I thought those kind of things that the doctor has, those kind of drugs, whatever, that's not my drug of choice. So he doesn't need to know. I don't want to be treated differently. I had all these reasons. And now that's one thing I would say to people. Tell your doctor.
Yeah, first thing.
Yeah, and I didn't tell him. And I realize now I just never thought that would be a danger. And I didn't want, still that ego's in the way. I don't want to appear that way. I don't want him to see me a certain way. And now it's back to, I'll do anything it takes to protect me from this disease.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to, It's not worth it to have a little pride or to feel a little better when you see the doctor, to have that risk there.
So your advice and my advice, like I just went to the dentist last Thursday and got a tooth pulled. And my dentist knows, first time I met her, I'm a drug addict. Don't give me pain meds. She said, here's a couple ibuprofen, here's a couple Tylenol, take them for 24 hours, every 4 hours, and you'll be fine. And I was fine. I'm alive. But, it's easy to say I'm going to be in pain, so I can take pain medication. But you know what? The doctor's got to know up front when you go. My buddy John's great at this. He takes his wife. Every time he goes to the doctor, he says, I'm a drug addict.
Yeah, he's been a great example. Actually, that's one of the people I thought of. Well, you mentioned him to me, and that's one of the people that I thought of when I thought, oh, I've got to tell my doctor. Now I get it. Now I got to tell, now I know why I got to talk to him.
Yeah.
So, so that's one piece of advice. The other thing, there's a lot of things that I learned.
Keep telling us.
Reach out for help. I didn't want to reach out for help. Obviously, I reached out for help in the very beginning. I reached out to my dad, but I didn't want to reach out for help. It's so funny. Like, it surprised me the things that were coming out, and
well, the addict brain will have you thinking, I don't want to waste their time.
Well, yeah, and
I
don't want them to know. The thing with me was, I had such a miraculous and great recovery story, and all these like
still do.
Yeah. So I didn't want to let anybody down. And not only them, but I kept telling myself, even when I was in the middle of it, and I'm like, I'm in trouble. Like, I am really in trouble here. I kept telling myself, I got this. I got this. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be the one that overcame. I didn't want to have to be weak, I thought, and reach out for help. And the truth is, reaching out for help is not weak. It's being strong.
That's the strength.
That's the strength. So that's the thing. That's one thing I learned is reach out for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's way cooler and way better than what you sit with after you make those choices,
right.
So, yeah, reach out for help. Don't be afraid. Get your ego out of the way. It doesn't have any business there.
Right.
And
your program, probably.
Yeah, definitely work your program. It's huge. If you're not working your program, you're going backwards.
10 and 11
Period.
and 12. 10, 11, and 12. Steps 10, 11, and 12 have got to be worked every day if you're doing a 12-step program, in my opinion. Those are maintenance steps that we should just be doing every day.
Yeah.
Start or finish.
Yeah, always. If you're not moving forward, there's no standing still.
Yeah, not for an addict.
Mm-mm.
We got to be learning.
Yeah.
Keep growing.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing what we're scared of.
Yeah.
Doing things we're afraid of.
Yeah. And I had...
Yeah, you were going on to something else.
I can't remember right.
I so rudely interrupted.
No, you're good. I'm trying to think.
You and I both interrupt people.
I know. Yeah, John says, you were talking a lot. Are you? I always talk a lot.
Yeah.
Ask Heston.
Yep.
But no, just ask for help. And, I know what I was going to say.
Bing, bing, bing.
It came from you, actually.
Light bulb.
And I feel like it saved me a lot of unnecessary... There's the necessary trauma inside you're going to go through in a relapse. It's inevitable, and it's healthy. Yeah. You got to let yourself go through it. But you gave me some sound advice, and I knew you were going to give it to me. I told my sister exactly what you were going to say, and you did.
That's what's funny. You've always had the answers before I tell you, but you always ask.
But I never will use them until someone else tells them to me. I'll just be like, no. But you just told me, don't stay down. Don't sit and beat yourself up. Get back up. Everything's great. You're great. And it sounds like at the time when you're in that space, you're like, I'm horrible. Like, you feel horrible.
Yeah, we beat ourselves up.
Yeah. But that's so important. Like, I feel like that is such a key factor in whether you are going to come out of that relapse or not. Truly. Because the adversary, the devil...
The longer you stay down probably is the worse it gets.
Yeah, when you're down, you're
harder it gets to come out.
Yeah, and when you're down feeling like crap, you're definitely more at risk for using again, for trying to numb that, definitely.
Well, it's easy to write off. Well, I've already done it. I might as well just do more. And I might as well just do more, and I might as well. Then you're just, it's not a choice anymore. It's survival.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean, sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
Deal with yourself. Do the things you need to do. Be responsible. Take accountability with everyone that you need to. But don't sit in that pile of, heal. Let find that healing. Go to places that are going to help you find that healing and start working your steps.
Yeah, and I always say in my beliefs, my spiritual beliefs, my religion, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but is that those are Satan's tools.
Yes.
Guilt, shame. Having you feel bad about yourself, having you have pride, that's all the adversary's tools to keep us down. He don't want us to win.
No.
But if we rise above and say, no, dang it, I'm going to get up this time again, and I'm going to face it, and we're going to move forward, and by the time you know it, you're back on your regular track, and things are good.
Yeah, and also talk about it. That's the part that was...
Open up.
That was the part that was the ugliest. It was obviously easier to tell you or to tell my sister than it was to talk to my parents and to Joe. And And
Especially
because,
Joe.
yeah, and because those were the hardest, I knew those were the most important. And I tried to talk myself out of it. At some point, I thought, oh, they don't need to know. It's just going to hurt them. It's going to open up all these unnecessary things.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm going to be okay. But then I knew also that we're only as sick as our secrets, and I don't want to have those secrets. This isn't a secret that I want to carry around.
Yeah.
And so the thing was, I remember when I talked to Joe, he was so great, but I remember telling him that the Lord knew. He knows everything, and he knew this was going to happen, and he obviously knows that we can make it through, and maybe we'll even grow closer. And I remember when I said those words, I remember thinking, when I'm in that place, you know, when you're in that place where you feel that awful feeling, I didn't think that was really possible. Yeah. But it's really cool when you share vulnerability, when you're transparent. I feel like we have grown closer. Yeah. And I think it's turned into a blessing because we chose to let it turn into a blessing.
Right.
So yeah, share. Be willing to share. Be willing to open up to the ones that are the hardest for you that you're afraid of to opening up
fears
to.
Again.
Yeah, and get back to meetings.
Yeah. Have you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I didn't think I was going to share in a meeting. I still had that. Oh, I have this, story.
I'll just go to help people. I don't need no help.
Yeah, I'm different. I'm better now. So.
But you opened up again.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
It was awesome.
You help so many. You truly do. Where do you go from here?
Just keep moving forward. Keep going to meetings and sharing, and just keep moving forward. Not
looking back.
No.
That's not good.
No, I feel like I've put some great preventative maintenance kind of stuff in place.
Yeah, good plan.
I have some more eyes wide open experience now to say, wow, I never in a million years thought that could happen to me. I mean, honestly, never. It was quite shocking. And but I feel grateful for it. I mean, I feel like it sucks. I hate it. It's embarrassing. However, I can choose to either take something good from it or just sit and, feel bad about it. And I choose to take things that are good from it and move forward. Yeah. And there's always learning in everything. So. Yeah,
I'm proud of you for coming in and opening up, because most importantly is, and I think is that it's going to help someone. Someone that's sitting there in guilt, in shame, not wanting to open up, is hearing what you're saying, just like in meetings, and they're saying, there's the light bulb. It worked for her. Maybe I can try it. Yeah. Maybe I'll open up and get help. Maybe I'll start, and don't look back. Looking back if you've got an issue out there, if you are struggling with an addiction or anything, start right now. You can start right now. You don't have to start yesterday. Start right now and change and start and don't look back. Yeah. If you relapsed an hour ago, start right now and don't look back. It's gone. You don't get that stuff back. You don't want that stuff back. Yeah. Moving forward is what we got to do, and then giving back. Yeah. Helping and doing the good things. There's so many cool people in this recovery community. I see people out there.
The coolest.
Yeah, like there's these people at the Southwest Center where they did a thing. They stayed out in the freezing cold the other night, raising money for the homeless shelter for youth. Yeah, a youth homeless shelter. It was like the second one in Utah, but the first one in the whole nation. Wow. And even youth people are homeless and they need help. But these are recovering addicts going out there and raising the money. Wow. The recovering addicts are out there helping the community. They're over at Switchpoint, the homeless shelter, helping people over there, helping serve dinner. They're out in the community doing good things. Wow. And that's to be admired. And I know you do all of this. You do all of this, Emily. And the best thing is you're a good mom to your kids now.
Oh, thank you.
That's to be the most important, should be on your list. Yeah. And you're a good wife to your husband, and he's a good man. So thank you again for coming.
Yeah,
and
thanks
we will
for having me.
Have another show next Monday if they allow us. If they don't boot us off the air for playing music and copyright stuff. I'm going to be in trouble with some of the stuff I do here. Thanks, Professor Donovan. Talk to you guys next week. Thank you. Where's Riker?